Just never did.
Yeah.
In fact, my dad, when we'd get up, sort of feeling whiny as kids get up,
Yeah.
he was a sergeant in World War One.
A sergeant.
Yeah, in World War One. In fact, my father and my husband and my son all were combat soldiers. You don't see that in 3 generations.
Oh, not really, not often.
You don't, not often. You don't really see it.
Yeah.
Because by the 3rd generation, there's no men. I mean, you know, maybe they're all girls.
Yeah.
But today, that could be even today.
Yeah.
Yeah. But where were we?
The marriage, the happy marriage.
Oh,
It's all right. It's all right.
yeah. But
I asked you the
at Beaver Dam, when we were at Beaver Dam.
Yeah, before. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we did. We took the telephone poles, the light pole, and built the front of it. That's one of those logs were out there in the front of Beaver Dam.
Mm-hmm.
We bring those up on a trailer. Have to stop and change tires on the trailer.
How did you and Chuck argue a lot, or like how did you get over those?
No.
Were there hard times with you guys?
We didn't even know what hard times were. We were raised that way.
Yeah.
That's why you get along.
Yeah.
You do without. Because most of the time now it's money. The bottom of it.
Yeah.
Right. But no, we were just raised that way.
Yeah.
Both of us. That's the way it was in those days.
Yeah.
But he'd go in. He was added to the Legion, and he drew a lot. He always liked his office in his desk, and I was always out here. That's why we got along. We'd all go to our little spaces and get over it.
What did you and your husband want to put in your children, like as they grow up? What did you want them to grow up to be? Like not as like a profession, but as people. You know what I mean?
Well, they all like people, to tell you the truth, and pets.
So they're all personal.
I think every kid has to like pets. Mm-hmm. You can almost tell a kid by their pet, the way he handles it. And if they handle that, that's great. That's what you dwell on. Because the way you treat them, you're going to treat the people.
So you wanted them to be able to communicate with people very well.
Absolutely.
Because that's how you and Chuck were. You guys were very people-oriented, right?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Didn't he draw for Disney?
Yeah, well, that was, he liked to draw Disney characters, and he really did.
Was
and
he
he had
good
an
at it?
offer. And he had an offer after World War II to stay out there and work in the studios. But when you're gone, in fact, he was in the Seabees. He went a year before them. And he'd been gone that long that he wanted to come home.
Did he ever tell you what he did in the Seabees?
But make everything.
Yeah.
That's why he always said the Marines think they were always first everywhere.
Seabees were first.
But he says, the Seabee built the roads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Seabees had to pave the way for the Marines to get there.
Right, and it's true. Mm-hmm. And he was that kind of a guy. He was muscular. He was stout. Stout.
Yeah.
In fact, when we were down there, living down on 6th Street, when we dug out the basement, he was supposed to hold what we were trying to use as a cement, as a beam.
Yeah.
We had a railroad tie. You know what those were. Well, he held one on his shoulder, and while they were working, and finally, my dad, if you knew my dad, he wouldn't give in to anything either. He had to work. That's where I get my stubbornness on both sides, really.
At least you admit it.
Yeah, I am. I know I am. But anyway, he wouldn't say. And Chuck had impressions of that railroad track for weeks and weeks.
Really?
And finally, my dad gave up, and we shoved it. It's still under the house down there.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Were you guys considered strict parents?
I wasn't.
Would you say? You weren't?
I wasn't a strict parent, in a way. Because, we had a fenced-in backyard. And we had we had 3 swings and trapeze and sandboxes and
So you guys were the cool parents of the neighborhood.
right, right. Because we had a high slide board even, not the little ones that comes with the kits.
Not the wussy slides,
no,
the big
this
slides.
was the big ones. This was about 5 feet high at least. And then, I don't know, they were always here. We had a dog for about 1 week, and it got in Ross Avenue with all the traffic and got hit. but we always had cats. We always had cats.
Were you strict on your kids most of the time, or
Well, yeah.
were you a little lenient? Were you a little lenient with them, or were you more?
Well, they never went anywhere.
No.
So
You had a good eye on them.
And I always had, well, sort of. It all depends on what age you are talking about. Because when Sarah was always easy to control. I mean, she was always sitting. She never moved around very fast. She loved to sew, and she had her own machine upstairs, and she loved to read. And she's more like I was. She enjoyed doing nothing, you know. But Maroney's gang, every winter we would move the picnic table downstairs, and one of his friends, he had alcohol parents, and he always here every weekend. Newt McVicker. Anyway, he was here every weekend, and during Halloween they'd sneak out the window, and that's when our antenna was down the outside, you know, the ladder top. And I'd have to get in the car and go get them someplace. I'd try to, and I out after them many a time. And then anyway, we used to put our picnic table downstairs, so all that gang went to the basement to play cards. And I thought, and they'd come up and get my Bugs Bomb, you know, and I thought, Bugs Bomb? Yeah, there's a lot of spiders down there. Mm-hmm. Dummy me, they were smoking and putting their cigarettes and matches down the drain. And I didn't smell smoke, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't smell. And there's a shower down there. And Chuck would be in there asleep, and all of a sudden they were throwing their wet towels, and they'd hit the water pipes. And I mean to tell you, if you want to wake somebody like thunder, Chuck jumped out of bed many a night because of that. Oh, that was exciting in a way, but in a way it really was. At the time it wasn't.
So for the strict parent thing, I'm just going to put so-so.
Yeah, right. I mean, they all enjoyed it. Kids growing up, I wouldn't give you a dime for one that didn't, tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. I really wouldn't. Not that I was such a hellion, I really wasn't. But I was in on a lot of stuff, probably, after a while.
So I know how you like to keep busy, and you keep sewing for people, which is great. But other than sewing, is there really anything else you do to keep busy around the house?
I don't need anything else.
So sewing's pretty much the go-to?
I've sewed for people for 65 years and never been caught up. It's always looked like that. Mm-hmm.
Really?
65 years. It's really 66 because I'm really 66. Mm-hmm. And I made my first dress when I was 9.
When you were 9?
Mm-hmm.
Was it a nice one?
Yeah, it was nothing form-fitting because you didn't have a form. But remember the shifts, how they were at the show, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. They weren't sew on a ruffle or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it was a start to a great 65 years of keep.
Yeah, I never realized I was going to have to do it all my life.
So you didn't know that you would get into it as much as you wanted?
Never given a thought.
So it just kind of happened.
More or less. Mother was always she sewed for people too, and I was always helping her. But she had nothing like that.
So it was kind of something you kind of grew up with.
Right.
You always knew how to do it.
Well, everybody did. Made your wedding clothes, everything. I never had any bought in anything for a long time until I used my own money. Yeah. And then it was hats or something you couldn't make.
Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. In fact, Sarah didn't have a bought-in thing until she was in Purdue. I made all her clothes. And when Chuck was in the hospital all that long, 8 months, well, I said to her, let's go down and, well, that was in Fort Wayne or anywhere she went. I said, let's go buy your graduation dress or whatever it was, Easter, whatever. She said, and then she'd start and tear would come her eyes, and she said, don't you want to make it, Mom?
Aww.
So guess what happens?
You made it.
And the first suit I bought her was when, that clothing store out on Cass Street at that time, they were going out of business. It was a white linen suit. It was in the summer. Oh.
Emma Lou's?
Yeah, Emma Lou's, yeah. And that, you know how long that's been.
That's been a long time.
Anyway, I bought that, and then I had to remodel it so much I should have made it from the beginning. And that was when she was in Purdue.
Oh, my.
That was a long time to